Have you ever felt the urge to respond, to text back, to argue, to explain yourself, and then stopped? That pause, just a second, a breath. A silence holds more power than any word you could ever speak. Imagine a moment where saying nothing actually changes everything, where the absence of your voice sends a message louder than any shout. People will underestimate you, test you, even try to provoke you. But in that stillness, in that refusal to react, you discover something extraordinary. Control, real power, isn't improving yourself, it's in letting the world reveal itself while you remain unshaken. And the truth is, the world will do exactly that. You'll see the more you resist reacting, the more people reveal who they truly are. Every insult, every demand for attention, every manipulative ploy is an invitation. And you get to choose to rise above, to respond with nothing at all. Think about it. There's a reason the most respected people don't always speak first. There's a reason those who command presence and authority don't feel the need to argue or justify themselves. Silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. Silence is strength. And today, I'm going to show you how the most powerful response is sometimes no response at all. Many people think that silence is a sign of weakness. They see someone who doesn't immediately respond to criticism, insult, or provocation, and they assume that person is timid, unsure, or powerless. But that could not be further from the truth. Silence is not a surrender. It is a choice, a conscious, deliberate choice to stay in control of yourself when the world is trying to pull you into chaos. It's easy to speak in the heat of emotion, to fire back words without thought, to defend yourself against every perceived attack. But the moment you respond impulsively, you give away something far more valuable than a few seconds of satisfaction. You give away your power. Think about it. When someone tries to provoke you, the instinctual reaction is to defend, to retaliate, to explain yourself. But in that reaction, your energy, your peace, and your authority are no longer yours. They belong to them. The more you argue, the more you feed their sense of control. The more you react, the more they feel like they are winning. Silence, on the other hand, refuses to participate in this game. Silence is a shield that protects your mind, your emotions, and your dignity. It is the ultimate act of self-mastery, because it demonstrates that no external force can dictate your inner state. Imagine a time when someone tried to provoke you, maybe a rude comment, a harsh judgment, or an attempt to manipulate you into reacting. How did you feel when you paused, didn't answer immediately, and let the silence linger? Even a few seconds can feel like an eternity, but that pause carries a weight that words can never match. People feel it. They sense that your silence is not confusion or fear. It is a calculated decision. It says without saying a word that you are in control, that your emotions are your own, and that you will not be drawn into their chaos. Silence also allows you to think. When you respond impulsively, your words are often colored by emotion, regret, or anger. You may say things you do not mean or open doors to conflicts that could have been avoided. By remaining silent, you give yourself time to assess the situation, to understand what is happening beneath the surface. Silence becomes a tool for discernment, allowing you to choose the most powerful, most strategic response, or in many cases to realize that no response is the best response. You are no longer reacting to the other person, you are acting from a position of clarity and strength. History and psychology teach us the same lesson. Leaders, negotiators, and people of influence rarely respond to every provocation. They understand that silence is a tool that communicates authority without arrogance. It shows that you are not ruled by your impulses, that you are capable of observing the situation with calm and precision. This is the type of control that commands respect. When people realize you are not going to react the way they expect, they lose the leverage they thought they had over you. They begin to reveal their true intentions, their weaknesses, and their insecurities, all without you having to utter a single word. Silence also protects your mental and emotional health. Every time you respond to negativity, you are allowing that negativity into your world. You are letting it take up space in your mind and drain your energy. But when you choose silence, you close the door. You preserve your focus, your energy, and your peace. You are no longer a participant in someone else's drama. You are the observer, the one who decides where your attention goes. In a world full of noise, conflict, and constant provocation, this kind of control is priceless. It is important to understand that silence is not passive. Some people mistake it for indifference, apathy, or fear. A true silence requires courage. It is not easy to withhold a response when every instinct inside you screams to lash out, defend yourself, or explain your side. Choosing silence means mastering that instinct. It is an act of strength, discipline, and wisdom. It says, I am not a puppet for your drama. I am not at the mercy of your words. I am in control of myself, my emotions, and my life. Silence is also contagious. When you refuse to respond, it often causes others to pause. It forces them to reflect, rethink, and sometimes even regret the actions that prompted your silence. Your refusal to react can shift the entire dynamic of a conversation, a relationship, or a conflict. The power is subtle but undeniable. The world is used to people reacting instantly, emotionally, and without thought. By choosing silence, you step out of that pattern. You become unpredictable, unshakable, and ultimately powerful. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, test your patience, or draw you into conflict, remember this: silence is not weakness. It is not fear. It is not surrender. Silence is control. It is a choice that keeps your power in your hands. It is a shield that protects your peace. It is a strategy that communicates authority without words. And it is one of the most powerful tools you will ever have in your life. Because when you master the art of silence, you master the art of yourself. Every moment of your life, you are making a choice, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, about who and what deserves your attention. Every reaction, every word you speak, every emotional investment you make is a form of energy. And energy is one of the most precious resources you possess. Once it's given away, it cannot be reclaimed. And yet many people give it away to those who neither value it nor deserve it. They respond to every provocation, justify themselves to every critic, and feed every manipulator. They burn their energy on battles that do not belong to them. And in doing so, they lose more than just time. They lose their power. The truth is, not everyone deserves a piece of your mind, a fragment of your patience, or a moment of your heart. Some people thrive on chaos, negativity, and conflict. They are looking for a reaction, a spark that will ignite their own sense of control. And when you give it to them, you become their instrument, their tool, their unwitting accomplice. Every argument you enter, every explanation you offer, every defensive reply you make is a deposit into someone else's agenda and rarely into your own growth or well-being. Recognizing this is the first step toward true empowerment. Imagine if you treated your energy as a currency, the most valuable currency you possess. You wouldn't spend it frivolously on things that bring you no return. You wouldn't give it to people who have no interest in your success, your peace, or your growth, and yet emotionally, most of us do exactly that. We react to the loud voices, the criticisms, and the provocations because we think our response matters. But often it does not. Often the energy you spend reacting is wasted energy, drained from your life and deposited into someone else's story, a story in which you were never meant to play a starring role. Choosing not to respond is not a sign of weakness. It is a statement of self-worth. It says, I know my value and I will not squander it on those who fail to recognize it. By conserving your energy for what truly matters, your goals, your growth, your relationships with those who genuinely care, you elevate yourself above the noise. You stop playing a role in the drama that surrounds you and begin to play a role in your own life intentionally and purposefully. There are people who will test your boundaries, not out of malice, but because they are testing your limits, your reactions, your patience. They want to see if they can provoke a response that will feed their sense of control. When you respond impulsively, you validate their behavior. You give them the energy they crave. When you remain silent, when you choose not to react, you deprive them of that power. And in that denial, you regain control over your own life. This principle extends far beyond personal conflicts. Think about social media, emails, and texts. Every notification is a potential drain on your energy. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every opinion deserves acknowledgement. Not every attack deserves a defense. By choosing carefully where to invest your attention, you protect your mental and emotional resources, and you preserve the energy you need for what really matters, your goals, your growth, and your peace. Not everyone deserves your energy, and learning to discern who does is a skill. One of the most critical skills you can develop. It requires awareness, patience, and self-respect. It requires asking yourself a simple question before reacting. Will this matter in the long run? Will my response serve me, or will it serve someone else? The answer will guide your choices, and over time this practice will transform the way you interact with the world. When you conserve your energy, you begin to attract the right kind of people into your life. Those who respect your boundaries, who value your presence, and who contribute to your growth rather than drain it. You create a circle of influence that amplifies your power rather than diminishes it. Your energy becomes a magnet for opportunities, success, and meaningful connections rather than a resource wasted on conflict, drama, and negativity. Silence and selective response are not about ignoring reality. They are about mastering it. They are about understanding that your energy is finite and that every act of reaction comes at a cost. The people who demand your attention, insult you, or provoke you are asking for a piece of your most valuable resource, and you get to choose whether to give it to them. Choosing not to respond is not passive. It is an act of strategic intelligence. It is a declaration that your energy is yours to protect, yours to manage, and yours to invest where it truly counts. So the next time someone tries to pull you into conflict, challenge your peace, or demand your reaction, remember this. Not everyone deserves your energy, your time, your attention, your emotions. They are priceless. Guard them fiercely, invest them wisely, and understand that by withholding your response, by conserving your energy, you are not only protecting yourself, you are asserting your power, your control, and your dignity in a world that constantly tries to take them from you. There is a remarkable truth about human interaction that most people fail to recognize. The person who speaks the least often holds the most power. Seems counterintuitive in a world that rewards the loudest voices, the fastest responses, and the immediate reactions. But think about it. When you refuse to react, when you choose to remain silent in the face of provocation, you are shifting the entire dynamic of the encounter. You are no longer a participant in someone else's game. You are the observer, the strategist, the one who controls the flow of energy and influence. When someone tries to provoke you, they are often looking for a reaction that validates their own position or satisfies their need for control. They want to see you flustered, defensive, or desperate to explain yourself. But when you don't give them that reaction, something remarkable happens. They begin to lose their footing. Silence is disorienting to those who thrive on manipulation or conflict. It is a tool that exposes insecurity and forces the other person to confront the reality that they do not control you. In that moment, the power shifts. You are no longer responding to them, they are responding to the absence of your reaction. Consider the dynamics of a heated argument. Most people think winning means speaking the loudest, countering every point, or proving themselves right. But true power lies in restraint. The one who remains calm, measured, and silent has an invisible authority. Silence communicates confidence, self-possession, and control, qualities that cannot be faked or forced. While words can be twisted, misinterpreted, or forgotten, silence leaves an impression that is undeniable. It is a presence that cannot be ignored, a force that reshapes the energy of any interaction. Silence also acts as a mirror. When you refuse to react, you force others to confront their own behavior. They begin to question themselves. Why isn't this working? Why isn't this affecting them? In that questioning, they reveal themselves, their insecurities, their motivations, their intentions. You become a silent observer of truth, witnessing patterns that would have remained hidden if you had reacted impulsively. In many ways, silence is a lens through which reality becomes clearer. both about the other person and about yourself. This is why negotiators, leaders, and people of influence often employ silence strategically. In boardrooms, in politics, and in high-stakes negotiations, the person who pauses, who allows silence to linger, often gains the upper hand. They understand that words are powerful, but the deliberate withholding of words can be even more so. Silence forces the other party to fill the gap, often revealing information they would have otherwise kept hidden. Silence creates a space where control is shifted subtly, but decisively, from those trying to dominate to those choosing to observe and guide the outcome. In personal relationships, the same principle applies. When you refuse to respond to petty arguments, manipulative tactics, or unnecessary criticism, you are not ignoring reality. You are asserting a boundary. You are demonstrating that your emotional state is not up for grabs. This kind of silence does not create distance because of fear or avoidance. It creates distance because of discernment and self-respect. And as people begin to realize that your peace cannot be easily disturbed, they start to adjust their behavior. They begin to see you as someone who is unshakable, someone who cannot be controlled, someone whose energy and presence demand respect. Silence also protects you from regret. Every word spoken in anger, every defensive retort, every impulsive explanation carries the risk of unintended consequences. Words can wound, escalate conflict, or be used against you later, but silence gives you space to process, to consider, and to respond only when necessary, and often the most powerful response is none at all. By choosing silence, you are not weak, you are wise. You are allowing the natural flow of events to reveal itself, rather than forcing your will into a situation that may not be worth the cost. There's also an undeniable psychological impact to silence. Humans are conditioned to expect reaction. When someone defies this expectation, it creates discomfort, curiosity, and attention. People are drawn to the calm, composed presence that refuses to react impulsively. Silence becomes magnetic. It signals confidence and authority without needing to assert it verbally. In social dynamics, in professional environments, and even in casual interactions, this silent power transforms the balance of influence. Those who once felt dominant begin to question their strategy. Those who sought to provoke or control begin to realize that their tactics no longer work. In essence, silence rewrites the rules of engagement. The most profound aspect of this power dynamic is that it requires no force, no aggression, no drama. It is subtle, deliberate, and intentional. It is not about winning arguments or proving others wrong. It is about controlling yourself, your energy, and the environment around you. It is about understanding that real power is often invisible, quiet, and unassuming, but undeniably effective. When you master silence, you master influence. You no longer play by the rules of those trying to unsettle you. You create your own rules defined by control, wisdom, and presence. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, challenge your authority, or demand a reaction, remember this: silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. Silence is power. And in that silence, you are shifting the dynamic in ways that words never could. You are no longer subject to the whims of others. You are guiding the flow, observing the truth, and asserting your control over yourself and the situation. In a world that rewards reaction, silence becomes your greatest tool. And those who underestimate it will soon realize that the most powerful moves are often made without a single word. Growth is not loud. It is quiet, patient, and persistent. And one of the greatest allies of growth is silence. Many people misunderstand silence, thinking that speaking up, defending themselves, or reacting to every situation is the path to success or personal development. But in truth, every time you allow your energy to be hijacked by conflict, criticism, or distraction, you slow your own progress. Silence, on the other hand, creates the space necessary for reflection, learning, and evolution. It protects your mind, your heart, and your focus from being scattered by external noise. When you are silent, you give yourself the gift of clarity. Life is full of voices: friends, family, colleagues, social media, even strangers, each with their opinions, judgments, and expectations. If you respond to all of them, you lose touch with your own thoughts, your own priorities, and your own direction. Silence allows you to step back, observe, and process without interference. It is in these moments of quiet that insight emerges, the answers you seek, the lessons you need, and the strategies for moving forward often reveal themselves in stillness, not in the chaos of reaction. Consider the way a seed grows beneath the soil. It does not argue with the rocks in its path. It does not complain about the darkness. It does not compete with the roots of other plants. It grows silently, steadily, until it emerges stronger than ever. In many ways, your personal and professional growth works the same way. Reacting to every criticism, every insult, every distraction is like trying to fight the soil that surrounds the seed. It depletes your energy and slows your progress. Silence, however, allows you to grow uninterrupted, to strengthen your roots, and to prepare for the moment when you will rise with full force. Silence also protects you from regression. When you respond impulsively, you are often engaging in temporary emotional relief rather than long-term strategy. Arguments, debates, and conflicts can leave you drained, distracted, and emotionally vulnerable. They pull you out of your growth trajectory and into someone else's agenda. By choosing silence, you create a buffer zone, a safe space where your energy is preserved for the things that truly matter: your goals, your dreams, your skills, and your character. Silence allows you to invest your energy in growth rather than waste it on proving yourself to others. Moreover, silence is a teacher. When you pause before responding or choose not to respond at all, you gain the ability to observe patterns, understand motives, and anticipate outcomes. You learn about people, situations, and even your own triggers in ways that are impossible when you react impulsively. Growth is not just about doing more, it is about understanding more. It is about seeing the bigger picture, refining your strategy, and making decisions that align with your long-term vision rather than short-term emotions. Silence cultivates this awareness. Silence also protects your peace, which is essential for growth. True progress requires mental and emotional stability. A distracted mind cannot innovate, a restless heart cannot focus, and an unsettled spirit cannot persevere. Every time you respond to unnecessary drama, you chip away at your peace. Every argument you enter, every insult you counter, every manipulation you try to correct, takes a toll on your emotional resources. Silence preserves this peace. It acts as a shield that allows you to navigate life with calm, focus, and resilience. Growth is most effective when it occurs from a place of inner strength, not from reactionary stress. Another dimension of how silence protects growth is through time. Every response you withhold is time gained, time that can be invested in learning, practicing, creating, and building. Successful people understand that their time is finite and their energy is precious. They guard both fiercely. When you engage in unnecessary back and forth, you lose hours, sometimes days of productivity and focus. Silence ensures that your attention remains on what truly matters, giving you the freedom to cultivate skills, strengthen relationships that uplift you, and pursue opportunities that align with your purpose. Silence also encourages introspection. When you stop reacting to the external world, you begin to turn your attention inward. You examine your motives, your desires, and your values. You question whether your actions align with your long-term vision or with someone else's expectations. Growth requires self-awareness, and self-awareness requires reflection, which is impossible when you are constantly reacting. In this way, silence becomes a tool of self-mastery. It allows you to understand yourself more deeply, make wiser decisions, and grow into the person you are meant to become. Finally, silence strengthens resilience. Life will always present challenges, provocations, and distractions. The people who achieve the most are not those who respond to every obstacle with immediate reaction. They are those who pause, observe, and respond strategically, if at all. Silence builds patience, fortitude, and emotional discipline. It teaches you to endure without giving away your power. It allows you to maintain focus on growth, even when the world around you tries to pull you off course. By mastering silence, you not only protect your growth, but also ensure that when you act, Your actions are deliberate, powerful, and transformative. So the next time you feel the urge to react, remember that silence is more than the absence of words. It is a space of protection, reflection, and strength. It is a sanctuary where growth can take root and flourish. It allows you to conserve energy, preserve peace, gain insight, and invest fully in yourself. In a world that constantly demands reaction, choosing silence is not passive, it is an act of active self-preservation and growth. Those who understand this truth will rise above the noise, evolve faster, and achieve more because they have mastered the art of protecting what is most valuable, their energy, their focus, and their journey toward becoming the best version of themselves. There is a profound power in silence that most people fail to understand. We live in a world where words are constantly thrown around, spoken, typed, and broadcasted in every direction. Yet the truth is, words are often overused, misunderstood, or misinterpreted. They can inflame situations, create confusion, or even weaken the speaker if not chosen carefully. Silence, on the other hand, communicates in a language far more powerful than words ever could. Silence conveys strength, confidence, and authority in a way that no argument or explanation ever could. It does not need to be loud, forceful, or defensive to be noticed. It simply exists, and its presence is undeniable. You think about the moments in your own life when someone's silence spoke volumes. Perhaps it was a parent who didn't scold, but whose quiet disapproval made you rethink your actions. Maybe it was a leader who didn't respond to provocation, and yet their calm demeanor commanded respect and authority. There is a subtle, almost magnetic force in silence that forces others to confront reality in a way that words cannot. Words can be argued with, dismissed, or ignored, but silence has a weight that cannot be contested. It forces reflection, triggers curiosity, and often compels those around you to reveal more than they intended. Silence communicates boundaries. When you choose not to respond to negativity, criticism, or manipulation, you are sending a clear message. You are not a participant in this chaos. Your energy is yours to protect, and you will not allow it to be drained by someone else's need for control. Silence signals that you are in command of yourself, your emotions, and your situation. It says, without uttering a single word, that you are not defined by the opinions, actions, or provocations of others. This is a message far more powerful than any spoken retort, because it comes from a place of strength rather than reaction. Moreover, silence can disarm and destabilize. People who seek to provoke or manipulate often expect a reaction. They rely on the predictable patterns of human behavior, assuming that everyone will respond to their tactics in the way they anticipate. When you refuse to respond, you disrupt their expectations. Your silence creates a void they feel compelled to fill, and in doing so, they reveal more about themselves than you ever could by asking questions or engaging in debate. In this way, silence is not passive. It is a tool of observation, strategy, and insight. It allows you to understand motives, intentions, and character without engaging in conflict or giving away your own energy. Silence also communicates self-confidence. Those who feel insecure often speak constantly. They over-explain, over-justify, and overreact. But those who are secure in themselves do not need to prove anything. They understand that their presence, their composure, and their silence are sufficient to convey their strength. In many ways, silence becomes a form of invisible authority. It signals that you are unshakable, that your sense of self does not depend on external validation, and that you are capable of navigating challenges without needing to voice every thought or opinion. In relationships, silence is equally powerful. It can prevent unnecessary arguments, diffuse tension, and create space for reflection. When someone tries to manipulate or provoke you, choosing silence is a way of asserting your dignity and preserving your peace. It allows the other person to confront their own behavior and think twice about how they approach you in the future. Silence in this context is not about avoidance. It is about demonstrating emotional intelligence, self-control, and an understanding of the true dynamics of influence. It communicates that you are aware, alert, and above the petty distractions that often consume others. Silence also has a transformative effect on perception. People often interpret silence as depth, wisdom, and thoughtfulness. When someone speaks less but acts with precision and purpose, their words carry more weight when they do choose to speak. In a world of constant noise, the person who is deliberate, measured, and silent commands attention simply because they break the pattern. Their silence becomes a statement, a reminder that power is not measured by volume or frequency, but by discernment, intention, and presence. Additionally, silence allows for the cultivation of patience. In a society addicted to immediate responses, instant reactions, and constant engagement, the ability to remain silent is a rare and valuable skill. It teaches you to wait, observe, and understand before acting. It builds resilience, fortitude, and the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Silence transforms impulsive energy into strategic action, making your eventual words, decisions, and behaviors far more impactful than they would be if offered in haste. Finally, silence protects your emotional and mental energy. Every word spoken in response to provocation or drama is a potential drain on your focus, peace, and well-being. By choosing silence, you conserve your energy for what truly matters: your growth, your goals, and your journey. You refuse to give power to negativity, and in doing so, you elevate yourself above situations that would otherwise distract or diminish you. Silence becomes a shield, a tool, and a statement all at once, a powerful force that communicates more than words ever could. So, the next time you feel compelled to react, to argue, or to explain, pause. Consider the power of silence. Understand that saying nothing does not mean you are weak, indifferent, or passive. It means you are strong, aware, and in control. Silence communicates strength. When words fail, commands respect when arguments falter, and protects your peace when chaos surrounds you. In the art of silence, you discover a voice far louder than any words, a voice that speaks not with sound but with presence, authority, and unshakable power. As we come to the end of this journey, there is one undeniable truth you must carry with you. The most powerful response is not always a word, not always an action, but often silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is control. It is the quiet strength that protects your peace, preserves your energy, and elevates your presence. It is the force that allows you to rise above chaos, to see clearly, and to act with intention when it truly matters. Remember, every time you respond impulsively to criticism, drama, or provocation, you are giving away something precious: your focus, your energy, your power. But when you choose silence, you reclaim it. You step out of the cycle of reaction and into a place of clarity, discernment, and authority. You allow the world to reveal itself while you remain unshaken. You become the observer, the strategist, the person who commands respect without a single word. Silence shifts the power dynamic. It teaches others that you are not defined by their actions, that your energy cannot be controlled, and that your peace is priceless. It protects your growth by giving you the space to reflect, learn, and evolve. It speaks louder than any argument, proving that strength is not measured by noise, but by composure, wisdom, and restraint. And perhaps most importantly, silence reminds you that the world does not need your validation. It only needs your presence, your focus, and your unwavering commitment to your path. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, the next time drama calls for your attention, the next time chaos demands a reaction, pause, breathe, step back, choose silence, protect your energy, protect your peace, protect your growth. Because when you master the art of saying nothing, you master the art of power itself. Carry this with you always. No response is not empty. No response is not weak. No response is not passive. It is the ultimate act of control, strength, and self-respect. And when you embrace it fully, you will discover that, in silence, you hold the loudest voice of all, the voice of power, dignity, and unshakable presence.